The allegations against this movie are completely true. There are ninjas. More specifically, there are chav ninjas, entities that I can only describe as being equivalent to our version of mall ninjas. They go around doing flips and unnecessary things, and to be honest, for the last 2 minutes, it's a pretty jarring scene. So jarring, in fact, you've got people online crying about the fact that that absolutely ruins the movie. And I gotta say, if you fit into that category, I don't know what you're on about. You are completely overreacting about this one small scene. There are 155 minutes of the movie that are so good. If anything, I'm more disappointed in the fact that the little Power Rangers figure that Spike played with in the beginning was actually a Power Rangers SPD figure that came out in about 2005, which doesn't really line up to how the apocalypse started in the UK, because that would have started around 2002 or so. So what, this out-of-place Power Rangers just kind of floated along the coast from another part of Europe until it landed in the UK? I don't buy it, Danny Boyle. I think you just put in the wrong Power Ranger figure inside of this scene, and you thought someone like me, someone that knows the Power Rangers lore, wasn't gonna notice. But I'll tell you what, you're wrong. But moving on, we've got a movie that I think is a pretty decent follow-up to what we got in the original 28 Days Later. I'm not talking about 28 Weeks Later, because I feel like that is completely invalidated by everything the movie sets up. The UK is the only spot that is being quarantined because of the rage virus. The whole world is on lookout watching to make sure that nothing and no one gets out of this island. And I mean, it makes sense. Something like the rage virus, which instantly causes you to have symptoms, would easily cause planes to go down, cars wouldn't be able to drive. I mean, there would be incidences, of course, but it wouldn't get too far if you're trying to go from different countries. So looking at everything, it makes sense because it's more of a realistic approach when it comes to this infection. But the infected aren't the main point of the movie. It's this family that we've got, because the story centers around Spike, his mom, and his dad, where we see Aaron Taylor Johnson play his hardest role yet, a guy that isn't really the best dad or the best husband. In fact, he's more than just a little bit awful at doing both of those things. And you're looking at this pretty complex story about a family that is far from perfect. This is what carries the movie for pretty much the entire runtime. And to be honest, I was a little bit surprised at how soon they cut off the Aaron Taylor Johnson's portion of the story, which is really surprising because less than halfway in the movie, he stops being a central character. But that is completely fine because the boy that plays Spike is actually so good. I mean, this kid himself, I can see him as a live action version of Atreus over here. The way that this kid is shooting his arrows and is in this story with his father figure as they're trying to survive, I mean, that's pretty similar. I gotta be honest. It's gonna be hard for people not to be able to draw that comparison, but this kid did so well. He's not that normal, annoying child protagonist that you're gonna see in a movie. This is gonna be some guy that you can actually believe was born during the apocalypse. This kid can survive, and he's one of the best characters in the film. And I gotta say, while being one of the best characters in the film, he is not the best character in the film, because I gotta give that honor to the doctor over here. The guy that just seems so crazy, but is actually so interesting to see every single time he's on screen. I wanna know more about his story. Of course, it gets left up in mystery most of the time. We don't know what he's really doing or how he's using medicine in these different ways, but he is just such an intriguing figure. And also the fact that he survived this long, if anything, we could probably get a spin-off just based on him by himself. I think that would be more than okay. If anything, I'm disappointed in the fact that he didn't get more screen time. He was just in it at the very end of the movie, but his presence was very much felt. He allowed that extra little bit of connection that we got to see from the boy and his mom. That was more than just pretty good, in my opinion. And of course, there are also the other pretty good characters too, like that one Swedish dude that just ended up washed up on the island. That guy was a complete dick, but he was funny. The mom didn't become some normal generic escort character that becomes a burden to our main characters. If anything, she saved the boy, even if she might not fully remember it. So she ended up being a lot more useful than just someone that has to be transported from point A to point B. And of course, the main reason that I feel like a lot of people are going to be watching this film is because of that amazing trailer that it had. This is one of the most well done horror movie trailers that I have ever seen, period. That poem in the background just being completely haunting in the messaging that it says, the feeling of wartime, that there is an impending doom coming to everyone that is on this island, everyone that's going to be in this movie, is not really felt too much in the movie. I gotta be completely honest about that. And that isn't a bad thing. 28 Days Later isn't a movie that I'm gonna necessarily say is like so intensely scary. It's scary because the zombies can run. That's the main reason that people are gonna be saying that they're afraid of the infected in that film, but it's not really a scary movie. And I feel like this movie is the same way. It's got really intense scenes, a lot of things happen, but you're never gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm clutching my pearls because I'm terrified. That never really happens. In fact, that poem actually plays in the movie too, but it's cut up with scenes from like historical movies and like the infected eating people, and like that mixes, but it's just not the same kind of vibe that you're gonna get from the trailer. If you're expecting utter doom and dread, you're not gonna be getting that. And I think the movie doesn't suffer for it. And now, that doesn't mean that the movie is not going to do anything interesting or out there when it comes to their infected, because by God, they have some really questionable choices. The mutation, the way that we've seen it transform these infected characters has been quite a bit different than I was anticipating. I mean, you got things like bloaters, which are just kind of like crawlers that just go around, can't really do too much. They're just there wasting away. And then on the other side, you've got these entire hordes that are led by the alphas. These guys that are absolutely gigantic, and they're just wrecking shop at every single point. And I don't know why that one dude, his staple is just to decapitate guys wherever they are. It doesn't matter what they're doing, what they're wearing. He just grabs their head with their spine included right out of their bodies. It's kind of crazy, and after a while you start to go, okay, he's doing it again. But aside from that, a scene that will get a lot of people with an infected is going to be that baby delivery scene that we got going on, where there is an infected woman having a baby right there on the train. Now, that wasn't something I was expecting to see in that movie, but that was pretty different. I wonder how you guys feel about that scene overall, because that was a pretty intense one. But overall, I don't think the movie missed its mark at all. It was a pretty good movie. I wouldn't say that it's as good as 28 Days Later, because I feel like that one is a 9 out of 10 for me. That's a really good movie. This is more, in my opinion, a good movie that really doesn't deserve all of the hate that it's been getting so far. Again, those last 2 minutes are crazy and unserious, but they shouldn't take away from the impact that the rest of the film had. I mean, the reason that that's there is because this is going to be leading into the next 28 Years Later movie. I mean, it's a trilogy at this point. And I bet there's going to be some sort of explanation as to why they're like this or how they do the things they do. In my wish, I hope that this just ends up being Spike's interpretation of the scene without it being exactly how it happened. Maybe it just being his perspective on things when it happened here in the scene. Who knows? I don't know. I can't say. What I am hoping to see in the future, though, is Cillian Murphy come back and just reprise his role as Jim. I mean, the entire movie, I was pretty much just looking around every single shot and going, where is he in this scene? Where is he in that scene? Is he the alpha? Is he just one of the background characters? Is he the granddad? We haven't gotten him yet, but he is expected to return in the next 2 movies. So, hey, that's a good thing right there. But with that, that pretty much just wraps up my thoughts on 28 Years Later. What do you guys think about the film? Do you think it just absolutely jumped the shark an unforgivable amount of times when it came to that ending? Or do you see it kind of in the same way that I do, where you just think people are just exaggerating its effect way too much? Please, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you guys think. And as always, I was Randy, and I'll be seeing y'all next time. Peace.